Photographing bird breath seems to be this majestic thing that only the best of the best photographers are able to capture. At least that was my perspective just a few months ago. This past weekend on my main channel, I released a video photographing red-winged blackbird breath, and I was actually surprised at how easy it really was. The hardest part in photographing bird breath is actually the planning involved. When it comes to the actual moment of shooting the image, the birds are surprisingly still due to the fact that they're singing and usually kind of looking over their territory. So the hard part isn't the correct settings and kind of the skill required to be quick enough to capture the image, but rather it's about making sure you set yourself up for success. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and my goal is to hit it within the next month before my birthday. And if that happens, I'll be going live to answer any of the questions you have. So I'd really appreciate if you like the video below, give it a comment, that way it pushes it in the algorithm, and share it with your friends. Photographing bird breath comes down to 3 essential conditions. Number 1, you need to be at the right temperature to photograph bird breath correctly. Obviously, you don't see your own breath on a hot day, and much less a tiny little bird's breath. So you need cold temperatures. During the video that I filmed, I was careful to track the temperature on my weather app as the 2 days that I was out filming progressed in my location, and how that affected kind of the way that the bird breath hung in the air. For the 2 days that I was out observing and photographing, I noticed that as soon as the temperature started to hit about 37 degrees Fahrenheit, in other words 3 degrees Celsius, the breath coming out of the bird would start to disappear a lot more quickly in the air and wouldn't hang around quite as long as I liked it in order to photograph it. However, it would still exist, and up until about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or about 4 degrees Celsius, the breath would still be hanging around in the air enough to be able to get shots, but maybe just not to the ideal quality that I wanted it. After that 40 degree Fahrenheit mark though, there really wasn't any breath that was hanging around long enough for me to get shots that I liked from that point on. Second condition that's needed for capturing bird breath is some good and correct lighting. If you capture a bird front lit, by the sunrise or sunset, it can be incredibly difficult to capture the breath, if at all. At a side lit angle, it is possible to capture some breath, but you really won't get much of it in these scenarios, if any at all. You'll see in an example clip here how it turned out in some of the moments that I captured a red-winged blackbird breath side lit. It's not quite as nice as I would like, but yet it still exists there, right? But backlighting is really king when it comes to this style of photography. Go outside on a cold day and just look at your own breath and test it out. When you breathe against a lighting source, you'll notice it's so much more noticeable than when you're looking maybe in the same direction as a lighting source, or even to the side a little bit. You're able to just get a lot more sunrise reflections off of the humidity in the breath when it's backlit, giving it much more contrast to the breath against the background that you're filming. Which leads me to my last point. The third condition needed to capture bird breath is a solid background. Due to the detailed kind of wispy nature of bird breath, without a clean and blurred background, the breath can easily just wind up getting lost in the details of the plants or maybe other objects in the background. So the background part makes the breath stand out and is in fact what keeps it away from distracting with the clean pattern of the blurred background. Another bonus for capturing breath can also be getting a significant exposure difference between the level of the breath exposure and the background exposure level. However, you'll notice that in my images I captured, the majority of them were not captured against a dark background. So it's definitely not necessary to have that huge exposure difference, but it definitely can be helpful. The few that I did capture against a much darker background than the breath, I really enjoyed the results of. Unfortunately, at the location I was at though, I only had about 2 to 3 minutes of time in a window between the time when the sun was hitting the bird and the background, so I didn't have a lot of opportunity in order to get shots like this. Capturing bird breath is a special and unforgettable experience that I know you won't forget if you get the opportunity to experience as well. If you want to see the story on how I captured the epic shots I was able to get of red-winged blackbirds singing at sunrise, check out this video in the end screen here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys around next time.